Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Esther and I film about faith, medicine, lifestyle and productivity content. So I'm back with another video for this week and I have amazing people with me today and we're going to be talking about Step 1, the USMLE Step 1 exam. So I'll allow them to introduce themselves right now and I have to start. Oh my god.
He shock you!
Okay, my name is Miracle. I'm a 6th year medical student.
Johnson Ayadeji David, 6th year medical student, Carson.
Okay, my name is Kachi. I'm a final year medical student, even if I'm here.
So we two are in final year. We have another year after 6.
Alright, so they are all in final year and they just passed their USMLE Step 1 and please show them some love in the comments. Like, I'm so proud of them right now because they had like 250 plus. Do you want me to say yours? No problem. So I'll be asking them questions about Step 1, USMLE and also first of all, my first question would be, what is the USMLE exam? Miracle.
Okay. So it's like a licensing exam. I don't know, just pretty much the way to practice in any country you have to write the exam. So this is like the first one in the whole journey to be a resident in the US. And I think their students, they take it typically after second year basic science, but as an international student you can take it anytime you're ready. So yeah, that's it.
Alright, so you guys have heard what the USMLE Step 1 exam is, and Deji, how did you know about the USMLE Step 1? Or when did you know about the USMLE Step 1?
When did I know about the USMLE Step 1? To be honest, I think it was in my third year actually. Third year, first semester, that was because I had people that were studying for the exam. Like, you remember Amazing now? I don't know.
Yeah,
he was studying for the exam. So, and it was my roommate at that time. So, yeah, that's when I knew about the exam.
Alright, so my next question will be, when did you start preparation for your exam? So every one of them is going to answer this question. I'll start with Kachi. Kachi, when did you start preparation for your USMLE?
Well, it's like, I don't think there was like a definite time when I started preparation. It's just that from second year, I started concentrating more on studies. So, like using Najib videos and then some Kaplan biochemistry videos. But I won't classify it directly under like studying for the exam. But it does help with building your basics, right? So when I actually started like studying for Step 1, it was probably after Croc exams, after like our Croc exams. Then I put more extra effort using Bots and Beyond, New World, Offline, and the rest of these resources. So basically.
Interesting. So you started like third year of medical school in Ukraine. Deji, when did you start preparation for your exam?
To be honest, I can't say as of when I started. Because I didn't just go right into it, you understand? What I focused on was building my basics, you understand? Like I used Kaplan videos initially to build my base, and that was around like third year. That was when I was preparing for Cork, because I was doing Cork and I was doing Step 1 like side by side, you understand, like reading the basic. But when I now started my dedicated was around fourth year probably. I'm not sure of the timeline as yet, but when I started dedicated it was around fourth year. But I was going on and off, you understand, like sometimes I was studying, sometimes I wouldn't, you understand. It was on the last year, that was 2021, around January, and I started, okay, you know what, I'm going to take Step 1 so date. I started studying like as much.
So that was in 2021.
Yeah, that was when I said, okay, you know what, because we're still, if not for this pass or fail, I don't even think we would have written Step 1. Because we're just studying side by side with school, do you understand? So as when they said it was going to be pass or fail, we did that, okay, we needed to write Step 1 on so date, do you understand? So then we just said we're going to study and then we just did.
Interesting. So yours was fourth year of medical school.
Yeah, something like that.
We have this inside joke now.
Now you studied for Step 1 since first year of medical school.
Okay, I think for me, first time I heard it for like maybe second year or something, when like you have seniors telling you, oh, this and that, these are like things you could do, giving you materials, right? But I think my first like real exposure would have been third year during my tutorials. So this guy would explain Croc, say, oh, in USMLE, in IFORM and things like that. So I think fourth year when I was studying, I would maybe study with Board and Beyond or something, not like every day, but yeah, I think I remember internal medicine. I would at least flip it open and tell them, let me do this thing with you. So let's say third year after Croc, because that's when I got my first aid. Someone gave me as a gift. So let's say that's when I started after third year.
At first it was a gift by the way.
Yes, please. Thank you. Shout out
Alright.
to the guy that got it for me.
So if you're watching and you're thinking about when to start your preparation as an international medical student in Ukraine or like an IMG, I mean, if you're in your third year or your fourth year, I think you're good to go from their answers. All right. So my next question would be, what study approach did you use for your UWorld? So they mentioned that they used UWorld. So what study approach did you use studying for UWorld? Or let me frame the question like this: what was your resource? What were the major resources that you focused on, and what study approach did you use? Miracle.
Okay, I think step one is like it's not straightforward. You would hear a lot of experiences, resources. I think step one is the time where you are like in the middle of resources and like, I don't know what works for me yet. So you're kind of trying everything. So I tried what and beyond. I didn't do so much of it because I wasn't really vibing with the guy. I don't know how they do it, remember, but I would not. So I started up, but I did not like go far with it. Then of course first aid is a must. Let me not say a must, but first aid is good. So I did first aid, and then I discovered USMLE RX that was created by the authors of first aid, and it followed first aid. So I liked that. Oh, I could open my book and someone is kind of reading to me through videos. So I think that was it for me. Then I did it. I used it to cover my first aid until when, like what he said, when the last year came and it was like, when is your exam? It's going to be pass or fail soon. Then I realized that I have to get my reward. And so I went to Nigeria. When I came back in February, I think around April, I got my reward. So first aid, USMLE RX, reward, and then Amboss as well.
Amboss, so she is like 4 materials. So I'll
Yes.
come back to that.
And Kaplan Biochem. Kaplan Biochem is gold.
Yeah.
Alright, DG.
Oh, as regards the materials that I used, right? Well, I used, like, me personally, right? I'm a completionist. Like, I like to complete like what. So I use almost all the materials that I found.
Celebrate grace.
For example, I started with Kaplan. I watched almost all the videos apart from pathology and biostats.
Oh, sorry, Pathoma.
Yeah.
Like, of course, Pathoma. Pathoma, I used it in third year, even when I wasn't exactly studying for STEP. I used Pathoma. And then in my prep, I would always go back to Pathoma. Yeah.
Okay, so I was saying from nothing to yeah, so I used Kaplan. Kaplan, the videos were like very good, but it's just that you'd have to sit down in your room studying for 4 hours, like, because each video was like 4 hours and there were like about 73 videos, 75
You have to
videos.
stop and write.
As at that time, you have to stop, right? Do you understand? So yeah, I just did them passively, you understand? So after I finished Kaplan, then I went to first aid. I bought first aid like twice because the first time I bought my first aid was in, I think, I bought the 2019 version. I bought it, then I felt like I was not this kind of hard copy guy, so I sold it, you understand? Then I bought 2021, I sold it again. Then I just downloaded the first aid on my laptop and I started using it for my laptop. So I use the first aid. As people will say, first aid is the Bible of USMLE STEP1. Like, you have to use it. You
First
must
aid
use
is
it.
the Bible.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Bible of the exam. So I used first aid, I used Kaplan, then I used bots and beyond. You know, the thing is that if I had found out that bots and beyond was there before I started using Kaplan, I'll have just used bots, because bots and beyond is basically the same thing as Kaplan, but just like with little, you finish the whole series with a little time. Do you understand? Like, you could finish, I think the whole of bots and beyond videos is like 36 hours and then you're done. That's like just 2 days and you're done. That's if you sit down for 2 days and you're done. But Kaplan was like I don't know, 128 hours.
Kaplan was like PhD of.
Was a lot. So I used first aid, Kaplan, bots and beyond. I used Sketchy Micro.
Yes.
Sketchy Micro. I used for my microbiology and the drugs, because the drugs were a lot and it was very difficult to start memorizing them. So the videos helped me. I also used Pathoma. I did Pathoma, like, to be honest, 3-4 times, like, because it was very, very good. I liked the guy. What else did I use? I think that's about it. Yeah, and I did Anki flashcards, but like, you know, not as much as I wanted to, because when I found out about Anki was around the end of my exam, so I was just doing it like, you know, one of those things. I also did Amboss question bank. Yeah, I did it, but side by side. But my UWorld, I didn't even complete my UWorld. I did UWorld just once, like first pass, but I didn't complete it. I did about 93% of UWord, I couldn't complete it. And my UWord expired like 2 months before my exam, so I didn't do like questions around that 2 months before my exam. So that's basically it, I think.
Interesting. The boss. So how many times you finish Patoma?
Santa should employ you.
Kaji, what were the materials you used?
For me, the materials I used, right, I didn't use any specific material. Like, I just pitched around everything. Similar to Digi, but Digi was more consistent with all the materials. Because Digi would be like, if Digi, for example, because we studied closely, so if, for example, my gastro, for example, he would go first, right? So if he used BNB and like, oh, BNB is really good, I'll use BNB for gastro.
Did you use Gojan as well?
Yeah, I just remember now when he was talking about. I used Gojan. So I almost finished it, by the way. I think I finished it. I said it first.
So for example, if David went to gastro first, he would say, oh, BNB is really good for gastric, then I would use BNB for gastric. Then if he went hematology, because he would use everything, so he would tell me, I think Gojan is really good for hematology. For example, I used Gojan for hematology, and then I used BNB for gastric. So I was just pitching anyone that David said was really, really good for this system, I'll just use it for that particular system, and then just. But I think also both and beyond, I actually liked Dr. Ryan, so I used it a lot, like probably 60%. And then I did for sketching micro, I didn't really use it. I just used it for a few bugs that I found difficult to remember, because it was even difficult for me to remember the images, then remember the association. So I just used it for a few bugs that I found really hard to remember, and then I tried my best to recall. So, and then first aid and UWord, of course, is a must. I think Patoma is also quite good, but I didn't finish the videos. I just used it for a few systems, cardio, gastro, and a few other systems that I felt I wasn't really strong with. So that's basically.
You didn't do chapter 1, 2, 3, like everybody would say. Chapter 1, 2, 3 of Patoma is
Well,
for your exam.
For people watching this video, I would just like to say that you don't have to do everything, right? Because now that STEP is pass or fail, you just have to just the basics. UWord, first aid, boards and beyond. That's all you need.
I was going to ask that question. Like, you guys all use like different materials, and the way you guys like used it in your preparation was different. But for somebody that is watching now, and like, okay, now USMLE Step 1 is pass or fail, and I want to actually write this exam. Like, what are the must materials that you must actually go through before writing your exam or before you booking an exam? Like, can you say like?
Okay, I think first aid.
Order of.
Okay, no. Okay, personally, I will not say this is more important, because I've seen people who hype UWord, and I've seen people who be like, Amboss is just underrated. They just don't have the popularity that UWord has, which they will still get. But the thing is, first aid is like a textbook. So it's like, oh, you don't know the curriculum of STEP, and first aid is giving you, this is the curriculum in a summarized way. So not everyone covers it. Depends on how you want to use it. But yeah, first aid, you should have first aid. And then UWord is like not baby and boss, but UWord is good. The explanations are good. Like there are notes. It's clear. It's standard.
So people might not understand what.
Okay, UWord is a question bank.
Okay.
Like it's a question bank. So it's like you're reading and then you're answering questions, because step for step, the best thing is answering questions. You can watch all the videos, but if you're not exposed to the questioning style, you will not do very well, right? Not that you will not pass, you would pass, but you get me. So UWord will tell you, you would kind of learn how they ask questions, the length, the timing, the blocks, it trains you. And Boss now takes it to a different level by, they now twist some of these questions, but the concept is still the same. So you don't have to do everything, just choose well. So I think our UWord is easier to understand, it's more basic. Yeah. So I think let's just say first aid and UWord. Then with the first aid, depends if you're a video person that you have to use first aid to understand. So use videos to understand first aid. Choose your video. If you have time, do Kaplan. If you have time, if you don't, go straight to Board and Beyond. Board and Beyond, I think that's the one that everybody types. But I use RX and it worked for me. Yeah, Pathoma, of course. I think they call it UFAB. UWord, first aid, and Pathoma.
You can UWord, first aid, and Pathoma if you are planning to write your USMLE Step 1. So now we'll be coming to like personal questions, because these guys, they actually killed the exam. Don't worry, you can see from the thumbnail anyways what they scored. So How many hours did you spend studying in your dedicated? I'll start with DG because this guy studied Patoma like 3 times. Okay, so DG in your dedicated period, like 6 months before your exam, 3 months before your exam, what was the consistency of hours you were actually dedicating to study for STEP?
Okay, to be honest, right, I wouldn't say I counted the hours I used to study. Like, I can't say, okay, I studied 8 hours, 9 hours, do you understand? But I was just studying, like, I was just, make sure when I wake up, maybe have breakfast. Sometimes have breakfast, then I just study till when I'm tired. Do you understand? I was not like very strict on myself and say I have to study for 9 hours straight. No, I would. That's, some people are very different. Some people can just, like this guy, he can just say I will study for 8 hours and then that's it. For me, I just study when I feel like, do you understand? But I make sure I felt like all the time. Do you understand?
Like
yeah.
you
So
kept
there was not like
consistency.
exactly. Maybe I just study, rest, study, rest. Do you understand? There was nothing else I was doing. Like I don't go for parties or I don't do all of that. So I just wake up, study, rest, wake up, study, rest, wake up, study, rest, and that was it.
And the thing, I'll sleep before DG and I'll wake up and they just send me question by like 3 or 4. And I don't know what I do with my life.
That's like the period of your dedicated. Kaji, how many hours were you studying for your dedicated?
I wasn't really counting also, but I think, well, my dedicated, it depends. Like I didn't really, my dedicated actually like started 1 month to the exam, but before I just like try to study. Do you get? So when it was like, okay, I'm going to drop every single thing I'm doing and like do USMLE, it was like 1 month to my exam. And then basically, because I had dropped everything I was doing, so wake up, study, and eat. Like wake up, study, eat, wake up, study, eat. And even the eat, basically junk food because like there was no time to cook or anything. So you just wake up, study, and you eat. And the reason I try to keep it like for 1 month is because personally I don't feel like that's a life to live. Just wake up. So just try to do as much as you can do before, and then maybe like few months. So you're just going through stuff or just revising. So it doesn't have to be like you going through the like workload for the first time. Do you get? Yeah. So
it wasn't like a particular number of hours.
No.
But like you were studying a lot in that dedicated.
Yeah, basically you just wake up, you study, you eat, and that's all you do like throughout that.
So Miracle, I know that dedicated was different for you. So how many hours were you actually studying for?
Like during dedicated?
Yes.
I cannot say I have, like I don't know where you guys go dedicated from because like Ukraine's schedule did not sponsor dedicated, because I think where the word came from was from the US, because when they are done with their curriculum they give them a few weeks to prep for STEP, but we don't have that. So I had school because I took it in December, so even a few days before I traveled I still had classes. I only took the week that I traveled off. So my days were like I would go to school in the morning, have my classes, I missed maybe a few and I would like rework it, but there weren't even much. So I'll go to class and then we'll finish like let's say 1, and then maybe by 1:30 I'm in the library, and then I'm studying till like 5 or 6, and then if I have time in the evening. So that ending of the dedicated, I don't think it was like the best representation of how many hours I studied. It would be maybe summer or when we had online classes that I had time. So I didn't count as well, but I can say, during a block of questions, it took me maybe 4 hours to 5 hours to do a block on a good day. Yeah, and review. So if I did a block for that day, I studied for 5 hours. If I did 2, I studied for 8. But it wasn't constant. It depends on the day, my demands. I had church. I had other things I was doing in my life too. So yeah.
Interesting. Like what I can get from what they are saying is that like don't just push all the work to dedicated. Like that's whole month or that month of me studying and studying. No, might not be as realistic as you're thinking. Try to do as much work before the exam or before you get closer to your exam. I hope like you guys are enjoying and you're with me. So my next question is that what was your biggest mistake while studying for step 1 exam? Like when you look back now that you're done and dusted with step 1, I mean like you crushed the almighty step. What do you think was like your mistake, or why studying, why preparing, why choosing materials? What would you have done better? What would you tell somebody that is trying to, find their way around preparing for step 1? Did you?
Personally, I felt like I would have started U-Word earlier, like very, very early, alongside the preparation, like when I was still doing Kaplan. Because me, I waited for the last 6 months before I just bought U-Word, and I couldn't even finish it. I couldn't finish the whole U-Word. I did, like I said earlier, I think 93% I did U-Word. I couldn't do Biostat, U-Word. I didn't even do Neuro, you understand? I didn't even do any Neuro question before I took the exam. Yeah. So yeah, I'll have started U-Word early, and
You didn't take any neuro question
no, I didn't do
in the
like
Cuba?
yeah, I didn't do.
Wow.
I just opened it down.
Because
Because there was no time. Like I was.
Wow. Like, guys, I'm forced to say score. He had a
No. Okay, you can't. But like you say, I'm forced to say people know him. Yeah, I'm forced to.
Like, you didn't do any neuro questions. Please, medicals on
Yes, I'm a
the
boss.
YouTube, you should please help me out here. Help me. Please, I'm listening.
Yeah, so like I said, U-Word, I'll have started U-Word like pretty early in the preparation. And what else would I have done? Different. I would have just, to be honest, just stick with UFAP, like, cause they all. I can't see how.
Can you reiterate what UFAB is again?
So U-Word, I'll just stick with U-Word, First Aid, Patoma, and if I was to add any other thing, I'll have just added bots and beyond. I think that's all. Because doing too much, I mean, you forget this, then do this again. Just stick with them and just sit down, sit down 6 months. Just be like, let me just take 6 months and study. Because me, I was just going, sometimes I would study, sometimes I would not, sometimes I would even travel, do you understand? So I was not keeping up, do you understand? So what I'll have done differently was just take 6 months. This 6 months I'm going to be very serious in my life, and I really want to take step 1 on so date. So I just sat down at home, studied for 6 months and took the exam, you understand? So that's what personally I would have done differently.
Interesting. So, like, you're saying that it's doable in 6 months?
Yeah, like, I mean, if you
like if your business are good.
if your base are
Yeah,
good,
if you're comfortable with.
and especially now that it's part of fail. I mean, even 4 months, I don't want to exaggerate, but even 4 months, like if your base are good, you can just sit down.
Coming from him with 4 months, you can do it. Trust
You
me.
can actually do anything you want. You put your mind.
Put your mind.
Even step 2 in 1 month.
Let's see 1 month, guys. Please let me know what you guys think about that. Miracle, what was your own biggest
mistake? I would have stretched it for so long.
Like postponing your exam?
Yes, I would have paid and had, like, if I had a deadline, I would have written my exam earlier. That's, I think for me, I'm writing my step is in, like, when are you writing your step? So if I'm setting your goals, make them realistic. Don't just say I'm doing step in. I know I wanted to do step in 4th year. I moved it to 5th year. You get, my mother would be like, why you when is the exam again? I'm like, I went to Nigeria the month I wanted to, in quotes, do step, and I don't bore you what at that time you get. So if you're going to, but when, I think what's resetting my brain, once my friend asked me, so when you go to pass of when is your exam? And then the moment I put a date, you had to work towards that date, yeah. So I wouldn't have stressed it for this long, I would have been more consistent and just like I want. Then I wouldn't have compared my journey. I did that a lot.
Like with other people on
Everyone, YouTube, or you will spend hours on YouTube watching how I got this on step 1, how I use this, how I retain. You go to Facebook, experience, and then you're not thinking that you're not doing okay.
Exactly.
And you're not even giving yourself the room to get comfortable with your own method, and then you just switch because this person. So whenever they tells me I read Gorgian and you remember this, I'm like, and I'll be like, they would do sketchy, and they will not be like, let me just close my eyes, I'll just remember the picture now. They just tell me, okay, this. So all those subtle pressures, I wouldn't have given myself those pressures. I think that's it for me.
So guys, I've already said it on my channel before. Know your studying technique, like learn about how you learn, so that when it comes to major exams, you don't have to struggle and you don't have to like download like, oh, this person is doing this, let me go and do this. This person is doing, let me go and do it. You stick to your own path and it works for you.
Yeah, but it does help to ask questions, because like
that's also a valid point.
Yeah, for me, he was maybe the most important person in my step journey.
I'm honored.
Yeah, like with the pushing me, very cool. This summer, let's do this, and then I will start 1 week. Maybe I'm in my friend's place or I'm in church and they just like, I've done this, and then I'll fall out, and then you still encourage me again with questions, connecting me to people that I could ask questions. When the best resources, study groups, they added me to WhatsApp when they kicked me out because I was not really good. You still ask them to put me back, documentation, and and of course methods. But I'm saying don't do too, like, take the good advice, like learn from people's experience. I'm not saying don't go to YouTube to watch, or don't check first in Facebook and all those things, but like don't let it make you feel like you're not. You find the healthy balance between it. It gets
basically like it's important. Like even though you take other people's advice, like you should also find the balance where you stand. So, Kachi, what's your own mistake like?
Well, for me, I think like I had a lot of mistakes. That's what I'm waiting for. That's what I'm waiting for. Some like I be said on the camera. Well, I had a lot of mistakes. Like they said, some cannot be said on the camera.
We can laugh about it anyway.
I think initially, like people tend to hype step 1 up a lot, and sometimes
Guys,
it can.
do you hear that? People tend to hype step 1 a lot.
Oh, it's true. Like even when we were talking, you were like the almighty step 1. People tend to hype step 1 up a lot, and initially, right, I always felt like I was the average student. So it helps to like you need to initially you need to like believe you can do it. Do you get? Like tell yourself you can.
This is just the motivational speech I need right now.
No, but seriously, because. Come on, I'm studying people like Deji and Miracle.
That don't start every time.
So
guys, it's
it's like
unedited.
So for me initially, like believe you can do it.
Yeah.
And then forgetting is actually natural because one mistake I made was I used to beat myself a lot. Like if I forgot something, I'll beat myself a lot. I'll go back and redo that. Say I studied gastro, right? And next week I forgot something. I'm going to go back and do that gastro again from the beginning because I feel like I should not forget anything. And sometimes it's actually a waste of time, especially now that it's part of you. The exam is not as brutal as people think it is. It's of course it's a tasking exam and it's difficult, but it's not really as brutal as people think it is. Like it's a doable, like
Just
you
do
can
your
do
best,
it. Yeah, put your best in it and you will do it. I think that's one. Two was I pitched around a lot of materials, like I said before. Pick one stuff that works for you and stick with it. Do it throughout, and yeah, maybe for a few systems or subjects, like if you think there's another source that is better, feel free. But then like have a consistent pattern that you work with, and then do questions. Like the exam is questions, so do as much questions as you can.
I'm learning a lot from this.
Yeah, do as much questions as you can. Honestly, if you've done your work 2 times, it's okay. Yeah, because it's
Did
okay.
you finish your work by the way?
Once is okay, but I can understand if you want to go a second time. But if you go a second time, I don't see any reason to go the 3rd time because at this point you're remembering the questions and you're remembering the answers. So if you feel you've done your work 2 times, probably and you still have time, probably do Amboss, do other questions down. Right? Don't try because people like emphasize your word. Don't try to overdo it because people overemphasize it, right? And then for first aid is good. It's good to read first aid and it's good to understand first aid. But be quick about it. The exam is questions. Don't spend all the time reading first aid and trying to memorize every line. Yes, try to do that as much as you can, but move to questions fairly quickly. Do you get? Yeah, so I think those are things I would change if I were to redo my exam.
Wow, valid points. Like, guys, like I'm thinking about my life right now.
Oh,
Anyways.
How many times have you talked about your life?
Told me this morning.
When I
talk about my life.
my place on anything. So like I'm sitting down with Miracle. I'm sitting down with Deji. These people are like smart people, and for me, this is my perspective. Every medical student is a smart person, and like I know that there's this imposter syndrome of where you think that like every other person is doing better than you are, but really, if you're in medicine, like kudos to you out there. You're doing well, like you're good, but there's that part of you also actually putting more effort because. Step 1 is a big exam, even though we make it seem like, oh, it's the almighty exam, but it's still a big exam. And that leads me to my second question. Is Step 1 the hardest exam you ever took in your medical school?
Oh, medical school.
Yeah, journey. Like, you guys are taking Croc
It
1.
had to be, you know.
Yes, I mean,
Like, I thought you meant, like, it had to be.
even in my life, I think.
I wanted to say maybe my life, I was not, maybe YA because YA was stretched.
Why you don't have to sit down for 8 hours, you know?
Okay.
With
Yeah,
brain
I
fatigue.
think maybe say it's the most tasking exam of my life. Like, I gave more to it than I've ever given any
Yeah,
exam.
exactly.
Because the time, the resources.
Because I can remember in my 6th block when I was taking the exam, I was like, no. Because I don't take coffee on a normal day. You understand? I don't take coffee. I've never. But on my 6th block, I had to go leave the exam or go and buy coffee. Like,
Wow. Wow.
For me, the major reason like why I think step is a tasking exam, but for me one of the major reasons why, even if it's like so difficult, I actually fell in love with the exam was because I'm not someone that can focus on one thing for long, and like if you study for step for a long time, there are just some things that you just build into yourself. Like you have to be hardworking. Like that's just one of those things. Like it's like a journey. So you pick some things along the way that just stick with you for the long term. Do you get?
Yeah.
So you're hardworking and being consistent. It's just something that you just have to learn. Like I've never woken up and then do one thing and then sleep and then dream about that same thing and wake up and continue doing the same thing. So I think in that aspect, like I'm grateful to Step for that.
So Step actually leaves positive.
Yeah, it leaves some positive traits in me.
So even after Step, like after the last day that you took the exam,
yeah,
the next day you'll be waking up thinking you have something to study or
interesting.
and then if you're not doing anything, it becomes like very bored. Like me, after I won my Step, I was very bored, like, because there was nothing to do again. Because before Step, everything I was doing was just studying. So after I came out of the exam, there was nothing else to do. Like, do you understand? To start socializing again was very difficult.
I think it
depends.
See, I
Yeah,
didn't
has
have
a
that.
different experience.
Yeah, like I just really came back and jumped back right into my life. I don't know. Maybe because like of course there was that. I may say Dejina that morning. Like next day, I'm like Deji, I woke up for the first time in a long time. That thinking I have to study today. You know, I have steps. So yeah, it was good. But
I felt like
I came back. I still came back to my friends.
That vibe of like freedom.
Yeah.
Or you still feel like you definitely should be doing free, but it's like. Okay, so what now?
But then I still think there's something else that it taught me. That period was like that time of my life. There are a lot of things that were like after step. Like anything I want to do this after step. Then the step not finished. Where are those things? I don't remember them again. You get so if you can carry your life along as well, please, if you can, do.
Okay, so now in like step as a different curriculum from what we are studying here in Europe and like in Ukraine as well. So how do you guys try to balance like school and studying for step? Like how did you guys try to balance the school work and everything? And I guess like you guys also had your life as well going. So how did you do?
the best person to answer the
Okay, priorities. Like I wanted good grades as well. So when I talk to my friends and they're like, I beg, step is of course like, oh, when you march, when you in hospital, nobody's you're not carrying your transcripts on your head, nobody cares about your grades. So I'm focusing on this, but I really wanted to do both.
She did
Yeah. So I really wanted to do well in my classes and still pass step. Yeah. Then so I think how did I balance it? I don't know. God helped me. Because now that you're asking, I cannot say
This was the particular thing.
yeah, but of course God had to like God helped me because I carried both of them. God, this is step, this is school. I have to do well in both. So I think putting those two things, and then I think with step you have to also be. You have to fight for your time. You have to fight for your time. You have to fight for your time. Like if you don't have step after class, you're going home. But I'm not. Yeah. So I'm not going to be doing the same things that you are doing. Alright. So yeah, I think that was it. And then also because it's different, but it's not like it's entirely different. It's still medicine. It's just maybe they are going a step further. So it's not like as if the cardio angina I did in step is different from the angina I'm doing internal medicine. That I had to close angina here and open angina. No, it's just still fed into this one. Yeah, so I think that's it for me.
So like I want to ask you this question. Like for students at IMG, when should you start thinking about step one? Like somebody is thinking about, oh, I want to be a resident doctor in the US, I want to be licensed in the US. When should I start thinking about writing step?
Well, first of all, I'm not licensed yet. But I do think there's like extremes to it. Like if you come in your first day, I think you should have fun. Chill.
That's my
do things you want to do. You arrived at a new country or something, so have fun, do whatever you want to do. Second year, I still think you should have fun, but like you should start knowing that something is coming. You get. Then honestly, the advice is going to be different since now it's pass or fail. Now it's pass or fail. I think in 1 year you can be good, like you can do it. maybe if you were aiming for scores, then maybe start earlier by all means. But pass or fail, I think with one pass of everything, you can definitely reach maybe a minimum passing grade. Let's say you can get to the point where I may pass on a good day, I may not pass on a good day. But then if you go through the second pass, you definitely pass, right? So I think third year is okay. Probably after your croc, you give it 1 year. I think you have a shot.
I think
For someone that is in Nigeria,
I don't know how their
Nigeria,
system works.
In Nigeria, they are very,
I
very.
think it's more
I
strict.
personally feel like Nigerian students are very good because
They
they
can
have to
study.
finish all of those ababio. So I said ababio is organic chemistry.
oh my god,
Guys in
Guys in
all
and all those
and
polygon.
and Robins.
Yeah, Robins and so their foundation is very, very good. You know, unlike us that have to use all these like printed books now, all these black and white books. They use
pamphlets.
this part of it will not be discussed about it. So
Yeah, if you're in Ukraine, I can say like you're still like your basic sciences.
by third year, you should be ready.
No,
to
no, I'm coming from a different perspective. Like what you do in your first year, second year will still determine. It's like a building, yeah. If you're asking me when should I think of roofing, of course when I'm laying my foundation, I'm not exactly thinking of roofing, but what I'm doing would still help, yeah.
exactly.
So focus on your classes, learn your material. I'm not saying that because you have anatomy, then I can't carry first anatomy. It's too early, yeah. But at least know your anatomy, know your biology, know your biochem. So by the time that time comes, it's
it's easier.
yeah, it's easy. I think also you asked me like how I was able to balance. I think I had like a good support system.
Yeah, our basics were very good. So
Yeah, my basics were good. Yes, my basics were good, and then my environment helped. I had like a lot of like friends that my friends, my classmates.
Person behind the camera as well.
Yeah, my classmates, my friends, my church family. Sometimes it's food they're giving me, and I'm come back. I'm not thinking about food.
Yeah.
You know, help. Can I help you print? Can I do this for you? Can I? So I had a lot of support, a lot of help.
I
So
think I need your support for step 2.
please come.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's like a valid point because I think support system also plays like a huge role.
yeah.
Like even with the example you gave with Deji, like him always helping you like with step prep and introducing you to people. It's good to have. I feel it's good when it comes to this support system thing. It's good to have like people that are with you on the step journey, and then like, for example, your food friends, right? The people that
No, not my food friends.
Yeah,
They
but-
helped
yeah,
me
the other people
in
are
that
helping in
way.
other aspects
Yeah.
of that. So don't try to use step and like isolate yourself from everybody. Actually, having friends also like plays a huge role also.
Isolate yourself because of stuff.
And also parents, so I think like
Yeah.
my mom was always asking me why you always shifting your exam. Just take it.
Yeah, I think that
And she
question
didn't
also.
comprehend how.
Yeah,
Why you should-
Yeah,
but it
exactly.
kind of gave you that push when your
Yeah.
parents ask you when is your exam. Yeah.
Interesting. That's like, please don't isolate yourself because of step. You can always have your life and have step as well, and still have your grades if you want them. All right. So you guys have been talking about pass or fail, step exam, USMLE Step1 becoming pass or fail. So Deji, can you explain like what is pass or fail? What was before pass or fail? What are we looking forward to now that it's pass or fail? Is he, I know there has been this speculation that is pass or fail going to favor IMGs or is it not going to favor IMGs? IMGs means international medical students. So yeah.
Okay, to be honest, I do not know if it's going to favor or not.
Okay.
But what I can say, or like generally about the pass or fail, was that before January 25th, 2022, we used to have this graded score. In that, if you write step 1, the minimum passing score was 194, right?
Yeah.
Then if you got below 194, you're gonna see your mark there, maybe 193, and you see a fail there, right? If you got above, let's say like 220, that's a pass. You see 220 on the score sheet, and that will be a pass, right? But now there's no longer going to be a graded system. The only thing that you're going to see is either pass or fail. You're not going to know how well you did or how well you didn't do.
That pressure is gone.
So the pressure is gone. Now, personally, I feel like this is not in favor of the IMGs. Like let's just assume now, me, I'm with my score now, right? Maybe let's just say I got a 270, right? And I don't want to use you as an example, but let's say someone else takes the same exam and gets only a pass. Do you understand? So if the program directors are going to choose someone, obviously, that's what I personally feel. They're going to choose someone.
But I think they are saying now that they're going to blind.
No. They said they're going to show.
They're going to show it,
Yeah.
but some people are saying they're not going to take it into account.
Yeah, but obviously that.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
some
they said they're going to show
like they're going to blind it.
Yeah, at all. Like they will not
Yeah,
even
they're
bother.
not-
I read it. You know that was the link I sent.
No,
you guys.
not that
No,
they won't
yes.
be there, that they will choose.
Yeah, some program directors say they're going to decide to blind
Like
it.
everybody's gonna be a
Yeah.
pass in their face, so it depends. But I guess what you're saying that for
But
IMG
obviously, they
scores
say,
not-
okay, they now see a pass and then step 2, the same score.
No,
obviously.
definitely.
Do you
No, the
understand?
thing is, this argument even is like for this year. From next year is basically pass, right? This argument is just for this year.
Are you
Just
sure?
Scores. Yeah, next
So
year.
it
everyone is
depends.
pass.
If you don't apply this year, you're still gonna have a score next year.
Yeah, but then the AMGs, like the
Yeah,
American, all of them are
are
going to be passed. So
passed.
they're going to basically go to the pass.
Interesting. So you guys understand what the pass of faith is? When you, like before now, you get a score like they did and they got like good grades. But now that you're going to be taking your step from now that you're watching this video, it's just a pass.
Yeah, but the emphasis will still move to step
Step
2 because people are still going to look for something to use to judge or grade. So, but I think for everybody advices for an IMG now that they are saying they want to look at applications holistically, they want to judge you based on score. So try to get other things, your research, volunteering, your basically build your other parts of your life. Yeah, it will help now more than score.
Interesting. So now we've talked about their experience, how they studied and everything. Now I'm going to talk about the money part. So guys, I know maybe somebody's watching and it's like, okay, it's like step is not hard though. Let me just come and write step in the next 6 months. So guys, how much did step cost? Let me start with DJ.
I don't have, yeah, that's the thing.
Like, can you give us like an estimate of
of
what, like your
my step, of my
materials?
step 1.
Yeah.
Okay, because I bought 6 months UOD, right?
Okay.
So that was like around 419. That's the cost.
In dollars,
As at
in
then, yeah,
dollars.
in dollars. But now I think it's 439.
439.
Yeah, 419. That's then plus to register for the exam is about $150.
Mm-hmm.
You
Okay.
understand? Then for the exam itself, I paid about 1,150, 105 or
Guys, are you doing
115.
the
I
math?
can't remember.
Something like that.
Yeah. Then
Then
travel expenses.
They have to
like-
career your distance.
It's all,
They
yeah,
have
they
to
did it
career
for you
twice.
from 186.
Yeah.
I did mine twice.
Yeah.
That was about $200
Right.
approximately. Then afterwards,
You have to travel.
yeah, travel
You have to
expenses.
get
like,
visa. You have
yeah,
to pay
so
for visa.
visa because I did express was about 300 and something euros because they collected it in euros. So it was like 300 and something euros, and the travel expenses to Kyiv and come back that's about 50. Let's just say $50. Do you understand?
And documents in school.
Yeah.
Small change here and there.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's your rough estimate that you spent?
Like 2.5, approximately 2.5, approximately.
$2,500.
Mhm.
Rako, what about
More
it?
than because I stayed in a hotel, so
I stayed with
and
family.
it was like 50 euros per night. So convert that to dollars, and I stayed for about 4 or 5 days. My flight ticket was about $400. For him, now you had to pay 1,000 something.
Yeah.
So it also
Yeah.
depends. It depends on you and also your lifestyle. If you're a consumer of materials, you have that tendency to buy this material. If you're not like getting the offline ones and stuff, there is still that. There is still the lifestyle of you're not cooking, you're buying food because you're staying for long hours.
Yeah.
Then if you're going to the library every day, there's a transport that you will not have spent otherwise. So, but like basic of 2,500 to 3,000 will be the minimum, and then
That's
other-
just step 1.
the other things will depend on you. Yeah.
Just step 1. Catch you. Like, what was your own rough estimate?
5K.
Mine is close to $4,000.
$4,000.
First of all,
So he spent about
2.5.
2.5 approximately. She spent like
Maybe 3,500.
$3,500 and he's spending about 4,000. So yeah.
because I had to get my UOL. I got UOL for 6 months, and then I had to get like more. I had to
Extra 6
Yeah.
months.
no, I got like for extra
Extension.
2 months. Yeah, an extension for 2 months. Then I had to travel to Ghana, which was like the flight ticket alone was like $1,300.
Wow.
Then I had to. First of all, before you can travel to Ghana, you need to get some documents and all the other stuff. So I had to get that. Then basically the normal study materials and all of that, and then like the other little expenses. Because for my dedicated period, I actually like kind of left the place I was because I wanted to like focus more. So I left the place I was. So I got a new place. place. So all of that expenses was just important. I think even more.
4,000 or more. Wow, that's actually like a lot of
Yeah.
money. But I guess it's worth the whole experience.
If
at
you're
the end
thinking
of the
about
day.
it, maybe plan ahead.
Yeah.
Don't just spring it up on your
Okay.
dropping the hints, explain if you really wanted the value, prepare for it. Just look at it like, oh, this is maybe an extra school fees or something. Let them know on time, and not wait till the 6 months or something.
Wow. So there's this question I get, like often people ask, like, oh, where's the right step? Is it Dubai? Is it Europe? So I want to ask you guys, like, how did you know where to choose, like when you wanted to write, like where you wanted to write your step? Because disclaimer, step cannot be written in Ukraine if you're
Maybe
currently
just yet.
Yeah, just
Maybe
yet. Like
later.
there's no center for writing USMLE step.
Even in Nigeria, there's no.
And even if you're in Nigeria, you can also write step as well in Nigeria. So, Miracle, how did you choose like where to write step and where did you actually write
Okay,
your
I went to Germany to do my step.
Okay.
So the factors I considered, I knew school was going to be on, like during that period. So, and I knew that Germany had like this visa metric center. No, it was actually Netherlands at first, but I didn't find space. So they had this visa metric center in Kharkov. So I didn't want to travel to Kiev for visa when school was on. So I wanted to eliminate that. But then I ended up going to Kiev because in the end the COVID made them close and everything had moved to Kiev. So yeah, then I wanted a Schengen visa as well. I wanted like a visa that kind of had value. I would have tried UK, but I also did not want UK US. I didn't want stress of visa with exam prep. So I wanted somewhere that was easy, like it's an exam, nobody's going to stress you. Then I wanted within Europe was also cheaper because if you're flying within Europe, I think my first flight was $100 because I missed it and I had to buy a higher one. So I wanted like cheap tickets, Schengen visa or a visa that's in quotes, and then I wanted like the ease of the visa so it won't clash with my prep and with school.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I considered.
Wow. So what about you?
Me personally, I wanted to go to. I first picked Middle East as one of my center region of exam, but I heard that Dubai was not giving a visa to Nigerian male less than 35 years old.
Wow.
So I just remembered that I had no, not remembered, but yeah, I had family in the UK, so I just went because my sister also stays there, so I just went to my family in the UK, my big mom and everything.
Wow, that's good.
So I didn't have to do like all those expenses that Miracle was talking about the hotel expenses, about the food expenses. No, I didn't have to. That's why my this thing was less than 3K.
What about you?
Initially, I chosen Dubai, like Middle East also, but I had the same problem. Like they weren't accepting.
Yeah,
And you guys should tell them. You guys wanted to chill. Like you guys are like a group of friends, so they told me come with us. That after they step, they're gonna do Christmas and chill together and stuff. So that was like, then I told him that Dubai is like shopping for a wedding dress. So that I'll wait. I don't want to waste that one yet on Dubai.
So basically, they weren't giving. Well, I hear now that they've started giving.
They started giving.
So I had to change my center to Africa, Ghana, right? So, that was one of the things that even made me spend more money. Because when I changing those things, you pay.
You pay.
Yeah, and then it's like there was a catalog of people that had applied. So mine was taking so long. And then the day I was supposed to write the exam was like the next day. And then I just woke up, I saw Prometric sent me this mail that, confirmation of your exam tomorrow. I'm like, I'm not writing. Yes, I'm not writing any exam tomorrow. Like I already applied to change my this thing. What? It's your fault you're delaying. Then I had to pay another money to cancel it. Like I was canceling the exam this night. So that cost. And then one of the reasons I didn't actually spend way more than that was like the friendship thing. Like you make friends and people along the journey. So someone like a friend I made on one of those USMLE groups, he stays in Ghana. So just text him like, I'm coming to Ghana. Like, can I stay at your place? He was like, cool, sure. When I went there, stayed at this place, he gave me food, shelter, and everything. So at least I cut the cost from around that aspect.
Wow.
My family people should move to Ghana. Germany, please, I'm my friends.
It's interesting. I have 2 questions left, but one person will just answer, and the person will answer the last question. So, Kachi, what was your experience on exam day? Like, Very short.
So personally for me, my exam day I wasn't really so stressed because like the week of the exam I'd be like stressed. I couldn't sleep. But like a few days to the exam, I just was just calm all of a sudden because I just like it's going to happen anyway. Anything that will happen will happen. Like for example, the night of the exam, I knew I like overslept. I slept at like 10 to like 7. I was still sleeping. Then the guy had to wake me like, "Don't you have an exam? Don't you have an exam?" Then I was like, "Oh yeah, I have an exam." And then I just went. I did the exam. I think I'd already stressed everything I want to stress like the week before. Yeah. So during that day, I was just chill and just took the exam.
Wow, interesting. That was his own experience on exam day. Miracle, so I want you to like advise people out there, like you're planning to write STEP, you're probably in your 4th or 5th year, or you're also in your 6th year of medical school in Ukraine or outside of Ukraine. What is the final advice you would give to them? Like, this is my gift to you guys.
Okay. First, what he said, believe that you can. It's still an exam in a sense. So I think another thing is, for us that we have croc, we know we can never move croc. You know you have to write croc. So we've put that mental state, you know that I have to prep for croc.
Yeah.
So if you make it optional, you would find all the reasons not to. Yeah. So if you really want to do it, believe in yourself, go for it. Set a deadline. Find what works for you early. I know that is cliche, but it's actually like true. Find what works for you. Don't try not to be overwhelmed. You will be overwhelmed, sorry, but you would cry maybe. Depends on you. You would be frustrated. Visa, like we had visa issues, and it was just a lot of like it's not smooth. That's just the thing. But I mean, the next day keep going. If you have drawn up a study schedule and you're not following it, draw again and continue. Yeah, it's a marathon. It's not really like a sprint. Yeah. So if you feel like, oh, this week didn't work, I need to do that. The time I went maybe once and I did not study, and then whenever I regain my sense, I continue. Yeah. So that I think that would be it. Because of the time, just go for it. Yeah.
All right, thank you guys for watching up until this time, but I have a good announcement for you guys. They will be having a webinar and I want you guys to be part of it. It's titled the USMLE journey and the math process demystified. So if you think that, oh, your dream is to be a doctor in the US and like you're thinking, what are the steps, what are the processes, their webinar is coming up on the 19th of this month. So please register. I'll put the link in the description. Thank you guys for watching till the end, and thank you for the privilege of access to these brains. Like, I'm so privileged and I enjoyed my conversation with you guys, and I also learned a lot as a student that I am. I'm still learning. So guys, thank you for watching. I love you guys. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.